Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a hair loss treatment that, let's be honest, sounds a little crazy, using tiny needles to make your hair grow. It's called dermarolling, and we're going to break down the fascinating science of how this actually works with some great insights from trichologist William Gonitz.
So if you've looked into this at all, you have almost definitely heard this piece of advice. Use a dermaroller every single day. The logic kind of makes sense. More is better, right? But when we're talking about your scalp, is that really true? All right, let's get right into it because the expert take on that daily routine is, well, it's surprisingly direct and probably not what you're expecting. Yeah, you really can't get much clearer than that, can you? The expert consensus is that no, daily dermarolling is just not the way to go. It's one of those classic cases where doing more is definitely not doing better. So, if doing it every day is the wrong move, what's the right one? Well, it turns out that the entire effectiveness of this whole thing really comes down to one single, incredibly important detail. And here it is, it all comes down to depth. For this whole process to even work, the needles have to be 1.5 millimeters long. Any shorter, and you're just not going to get the effects you're looking for. This exact number is the key that unlocks everything. But why? Why that specific number? What is so magical about 1.5 millimeters? Well, the answer isn't on the surface. It's just below it, in the actual anatomy of your scalp. So think of your scalp as having two main layers. On top, you've got the epidermis. That's the body's armor, its protective shield against the world. But the real action is happening below that, in the dermis. That's the crucial zone, because that's where your hair follicles actually live. And that is the entire mission of that 1.5 millimeter needle. It is designed to be the exact length needed to get past that outer shield and into the dermis, the headquarters where hair growth actually starts. So what happens at the exact moment those needles get down into that deeper dermal layer? Well, it's not exactly a gentle tap on the shoulder. The whole point is to give the system a bit of a shock. The entire technique is built on this idea of creating what our source calls purposeful trauma. I know, it sounds intense, but you are intentionally creating a tiny, controlled injury to provoke a very specific and very powerful reaction from your body. This is pretty much the signal you're sending. The second that micro-injury happens, the dermal layer goes on high alert. It's basically your body shouting, whoa, 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 what was that? Something just happened and we need to deal with it now. And this is where the real magic happens. That little ouch signal triggers the body's incredibly powerful built-in repair system, and it just springs into action. So, in response to that purposeful trauma, the body sends in the cavalry. It floods the area with its emergency response team, which is made up of these super powerful biological agents like growth factors and stem cells. They all just rush to the scene of the injury. And this biological flood has one mission and one mission only: heal and rehabilitate the scalp. The body's top priority is fixing the damage it just detected, and so it throws all of its best restorative resources right at the problem. Okay, so the body is laser focused on healing the scalp. That's great, but how does that help your hair? Well, the connection is actually really simple, and it's the whole reason any of this works. It's almost a happy accident. Because your hair follicles are just sitting there in the dermis, the exact spot getting flooded with all those healing stem cells and growth factors. They get caught up in all the commotion. They're inadvertently stimulated by this huge rush of healing resources, which prompts them to kick into their own repair mode. So let's just run through that one more time. Step 1, the 1.5 mm needle makes a tiny puncture. Step 2, this microtrauma signals an injury. Step 3, the body unleashes a healing flood of stem cells and growth factors. And finally, step 4, the hair follicles get swept up in this healing party, which stimulates them to regrow. And that really leaves us with a pretty cool final thought. Dermarolling isn't about some magic potion. It's about using a controlled, good kind of stress to hack into and unlock your body's own incredibly powerful system for repair and regeneration. It kind of makes you wonder, what other healing powers do we all have just waiting to be switched on?